So, good morning, Elise, Tijl, and Eleonore. We will have a little discussion, changing of minds about this corona crisis and the cultural world in Belgium, in Germany, worldwide maybe, and hear what are your experiences, ideas, your hopes, and so on. I don't know who will begin. For me, it's the same. Maybe Elise, because she invited us, it was her idea to speak. So, Elise.
Yeah, happy to speak. I think we're living in very strange and uncertain times. And that's also the reason that the three of us, we are here with you because Eleonora and I, we started a lullaby project. Because at the beginning of Corona, of course, all the theaters were closing and closed. And we have this audience who were missing classical music and a live experience, and of course we couldn't give them a real live experience, but we decided to record lullabies because we also sensed and heard and just felt that people were feeling very anxious and because of the uncertainty, and so we wanted to actually, and the social distancing, and they were missing people, so we wanted to record lullabies because lullabies give you an instant feeling of intimacy. And we thought that was nice. And so we've recorded a few. We've also had some pieces written for us. And I think also Eleonora, we both got messages from people saying they were very moved and they loved playing the lullabies for their children. And it was a very intimate experience also for us. You know, you just emit something and then you get a very personal thing back. And so to spice up things, we decided to do a few editions with a friend. And so Tijl is a friend of both of us. So also Tijl immediately wrote to us saying he liked the project, right, Tijl?
Yes,
so,
absolutely.
Yeah, so we decided there's this fantastic Welsh folk song almost, lullaby, that in English it's called All Through the Night, which Haydn set to music. So we're preparing that one right now.
Mm-hmm. Fine. And there are already a lot of reactions on the few that you brought already.
Yeah, also letters and messages. And go ahead, Nora.
Oh, I didn't know. Hi, everyone. Coming to you from Berlin. And yeah, exactly. Elise and I came up with this project, the Lullaby Project, exactly as she said, for this sense of intimacy with our public, because as performing artists, you know, we're used to, you know, we practice for hours and hours a day, and then we always have these concerts usually that we look forward to. And I know that for a lot of us, it was very disheartening to have all of our projects be canceled because, you know, in a way, what are we working for? So it allowed us artists this time to really get creative and find, like Elise and I have done with Tijl, find new ways of being able to present our art to our audience, although in a different format, but still, you know, having that connection. And also it helps us to question why it is that we became artists, and what it is exactly that we miss so much. You know, why did we choose this profession? And yeah, it made us realize how much we love it and how much we miss this connection with our audience.
So it's more also the missing of the podium and the public, and to bring a performance, to give it to the public, that you decided to do, to search another way.
Yeah, well, because our what is, as performing artists, we create art to share it with others. So when we feel that those others aren't there, it's almost like an existential crisis. So all of us artists, we had to get really creative. And I know that Elise can talk about also some other exciting platforms that she's been doing too, collaborating with people all over the world. And I know I've also been, you know, writing to singers, writing to instrumentalists, and yeah, just we've had to really get creative. And so I think that despite this difficult time, there's been some good.
I think that's exactly the combination which makes this project so lovely. Is that first of all you create a new format, which is the digital connection with your public and with people, which was actually and which still is one of the only ways where how we can communicate with our public at this moment. And then on the other side, which what Eleonore just said, is that the fact that we started to make music again, because of course you practice a little bit, but then you have little formats where you can get together with your pianist, or maybe you record something, the pianist records, and then you give it back and you say, okay, with this recording I want this or this, and then you just do it again. So you're back into an exchange of musical thoughts and musical ideas with your colleagues. And that's exactly very important as well, that we have something for our soul as well, that we can really make music again, because that was really missing, not only of course for our public, but also for ourselves. And that was the very nice idea behind this project, that you can really make both things work for yourself and also for the public, and then in a new format, which is very, very exciting.
Exactly.
Yeah, of course, that's one part of it. It's being active still and do something and present the public. But you are professionals, so you have to live of it also. You can't eat from the air, you can't eat because you are singing or composing or playing piano. Yeah, there must be bread on the table, as you say. You have to buy your fish and potatoes, pay the electricity, pay the meat of the apartment, or pay a rent of the bank and so on. So the costs are there. In some countries, I know in Germany, there are a lot of measures taken by the government, but it's almost only German. So maybe first I can ask Elise, how can she save life today and arrange everything to live normal?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, so we get a little bit of money from the government in Belgium, like emergency relief money, which is very nice. It's not so much, but we are getting by. I think also I have to say that I worked so much over the last years that luckily I have some savings, but it's not very nice to live off your savings. But it's a crisis situation and you just do as you can. And also the funny thing is that I, because of this, actually financially, I started teaching a little bit, not so much, but I have about 5 students now. And that has become a very, very joyful and enjoyable thing. And that's a thing I never expected from myself. But actually, I discovered that I love teaching singing. I love seeing people grow and finding their voices and being really free with the music. And it's a very, very wonderful, loving thing. So that's been a great thing about this. And you know, you start, like Nora said, you just try to be very creative with what the possibilities are. And then I also saw that there are a few monetized projects emerging, which I think is just. So these kind of live streams that are high quality, that are done with a lot of technical support, because that's a thing we also realized, like in the beginning, we were like, how are we going to do this? We'll do this with an iPhone. And so the sound quality is one of the core things in classical music, why we love, you know, beauty of tone and stuff. And a lot of that gets lost, and it doesn't take anything away from this project, because it's really about the intention and reaching out to people and you know, showing your audience that you're still there for them as well. But on the other hand, it's one of the things we also discover is that how great it is to have fantastic gear.
Yeah. Maybe I can say that for us, in my case, as critic writer, that's also difficult because we have still CDs and all those things that you can write critiques, of course. But with all what's happening now on the internet, the possibilities are not the same. It's not always the same quality. I think it's not a problem, but
not yet.
Not yet. So it means on this moment we don't criticize. We just bring some things. Corona, how I did it. Musiceer corona weg, musiceer, so play with music corona away, but we do it without critic, just the fact that look what's happening. A lot of people, even orchestras who play, of course for the orchestras it's difficult because you're according the instruments together, it's still a problem. Choirs also, it's not perfect, but yeah, I see that Eleonora would give an answer. Yeah. So
my polite hand raising. Yeah, I think that what you both mentioned is an interesting part about this whole situation, is that we do have much more content online, and a lot of that, especially in the beginning, it's getting better, as Elise pointed out, but a lot of that has been for free, so to say. And there's been a lot of discussion in the classical music world of, oh, well, should we be doing that? Because does that somehow devalue our work? I know that the New York Times, I think, wrote this pretty bad opinion article about how they compared it to like someone playing in a park, and if you feel like donating, go ahead, which is just ridiculous. But I think that these are extraordinary times. These are unprecedented times, and the music making that's coming out of these times is coming from the heart. It's coming from our need to create. And I'm just hoping, and I maybe I'm a bit optimistic, but I think that when this is all over, that there will be an even more appreciation for the arts, and specifically for live performance, and that people will want to come and support us again in the concert halls.
Well, the support, what we see today is that more people as ever before, let's say as the last years for sure, are now listening also to classical music. What do you think about this?
Yeah, I think it's something which is maybe classical music is comforting, because I think it just puts us in a different level or a different mode of being, because it just as übersteigt alles, we would say in German. It means it's transcendentic. I don't know what the English word is. And I think people are really looking for that, or really needing that. I just, a couple of weeks ago, I gave a little concert where people could really live listen to classical music, to vocal music, and you could see that people were really moved just by the tones which were reaching their ears. And so I think people are really desperate to have those kind of exciting, those emotions which are being called upon if we start to sing, or if we start playing classical music. And I think classical music, because we're so little in the digital world, because the pop music they have always been on radio, and it's a very rarely you can go and listen to a pop concert, because Madonna only does one tour every year or something, or every 2 years in Europe. But the classical music, you can go in every city, in a concert hall, in an opera house, so you have a very, very easy access to it. And not being there at the moment, people are more looking for those kind of musics which are now on YouTube, or which are on the radio, or classical music, and are really looking for it. So that's very exciting. And also I think those kind of projects we're doing now with the Lullaby, it's a very lovely project, because we're now making contact with our public and trying not to lose that contact, and also giving them something. But I think on the other hand that both we musicians and both the public, they are not forgetting what a real live thrill it is to be in a concert hall and to really listen, to get the vibrations straight into your ear. I don't think everybody and anybody will forget that. So I think, as Eleonora said, everybody is waiting to get back into those concert halls and really have a thrill about it. And we will all be very emotional when it really starts again. I think both the public and both we on stage.
Maybe you can reach even a new public
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Yes.
I think it's also, so what Tijl said is it's so right to call it a transcendental experience. No, you transcend something. I think listening to music is also the one thing that makes your experience of time stop. You're in a different time. It's something that propels you to a different universe. Um, and the strange thing is that in a concert hall, it's a collective experience. You have like the 1,500 or 2,000, sometimes more people all listening, and you take them with you to a transcending experience. On the other hand, now what I find very interesting, I don't know if it will turn out to be a great thing or not, but what's really interesting is that the collective experience becomes a personal one. You're an individual one. You know what I mean? Like, you're in your house, you look on YouTube, you watch on your computer with your headphones by yourself, you're watching a concert. So this kind of also is just a very interesting given, which might influence our world after Corona.
So let's say the emotions are going maybe deeper.
Well, that's the question.
Yeah.
I don't know. Does it? Do they? What I find amazing is that also, like Tijl and Eleonore mentioned, is that you see a lot of people, paid or not. It's also an interesting discussion, but you see that a lot of musicians want to reach out. We have a need to bring beauty and love and music and all that music brings you to our audiences. That's the joy of my life, and I'm sure it's also the joy of your lives. It's what we dedicate our lives to, and no Corona can take that away, although things become more difficult.
No.
Yeah, I heard, Tijl, maybe you can explain the situation in Germany for this moment, and what can be maybe inspiring for other countries and other ministries of culture to give examples and say, why not this, or what you can do.
Well, the situation in Germany is on the one hand quite lovely, but for people like me who are really having a fixed job in a theater. So it means we are on a part which they call in Germany Kurzarbeit, which means that the state is taking over of my paycheck 60%, and the theater is paying the rest of it. Sometimes it's only 90, 95 or 100%, depending on what you're earning of your netto income, which is very lovely. Of course, all the other concerts I was doing next to it, they're all gone. But that, of course, is lovely that the state is really, so not only the regional communes, like for example the cities, but also the federal state is pumping a lot of money into the cultural sector. 2 days ago, they said that they were gonna imply another $1 billion until the end of 2021 into the private sector, because until now it was only the theaters and the structures which were already getting subvention by the state, who were getting help with the Kurzarbeit and all those kind of stuff. But now they said, now we're going to reach out also to the private players. So, for example, private cinemas, private dancing clubs, private dancing schools, all the private market is going to get support by them as well. So, and I think it's very good, because culturally, seeing the density of theaters and of what is going on in Germany, it is really like the core motor of cultural life in Europe. So I think it's very important that they're giving an example with that they're supporting their artists and their theaters, because I think also for the rest of the European Union, and then by far the rest of the world, will hopefully take an example and will say, okay, if Germany can do this and Germany is doing it, maybe we should start thinking about those things as well.
Yeah. And I can also just say, as a freelancer in Berlin, so I'm kind of similar to Elise's situation. Unlike Tijl, we don't have a fest position. And like Elise, I've also been teaching online, but also living in Berlin. The city of Berlin, at the beginning of the crisis, invested, I believe it was 3 billion euros for the freelancers living in Berlin. So I, within a couple of hours, got 5,000 euros put into my bank account just by filling out. Yeah, it was incredible. So, and they did this for, I think someone hacked the system, so they had to stop. But I know that a lot of artists received right away, straightforward. It wasn't super bureaucratic, which surprising for the
Yes, absolutely.
but it was absolutely fantastic. And I think that this is the only plan like that has in response to Corona out there, and what Berlin has done. So yeah, it's been really fantastic because there are so many freelance artists and just independent people living in the city. So it was really great to see that. And I know there's the quote, I don't think Winston Churchill actually said it when they asked him to cut the cultural funding during World War II, and he said, well, why are we fighting this? What are we fighting this war for anyway? Although I don't think he actually said that, it's still a nice sentiment that, you know, although of course we're having these very real problems health-wise, you know, in the health system, we can't forget also the other things that make our cultures and our societies great. And yeah, of course, as artists, we were kind of the first ones to be hit, and we'll probably be the last ones to really, you know, be opened again. But it's great to be in Germany and feel that support from the city.
Yeah.
So Germany is, let's say, in this kind of fighting the Corona crisis in the cultural world, for sure, an example country maybe worldwide.
Yes. I think
yeah, absolutely.
I think so as well. No.
They also have a long tradition of really valuing the arts and culture, which is wonderful. Just incredible.
Yes, I know the last years, I think 3 times the budget of the national government, the Bundesregierung, was received 100 million euros extra 3 years or 3 times after each other. And just as an example for the Die Länder, how you say it in English, I don't know, Die Länder, to give them also a motivation to spend more money on culture.
Yeah,
because without Corona or with Corona, one thing is sure, there are very important studies of universities in Germany, in Switzerland, and so on, where it's proven that subventions of the state give even a surplus. In Germany, the studies of maybe already 10 years ago, there was when the subvention was 100 euros, there was a reward of 104. In Swiss, it's even 114. So that's enormous. There are a lot of industries who don't have this extra, who are working with 1% and even less. So yeah.
No, that's exactly. They just, I think I read a couple of days ago that every euro which is invested in culture, or which is in the broad way of culture, not only in theaters, but
everything. Yeah.
They have a return on investment of about maybe even 4 euros, which is enormous here in Germany. So it means they do know that they have to organize everything, because people are going to restaurants, people are traveling, so everybody is taking advantage if the cultural life is working. And the cultural life is maybe not only theater and not only going to concerts, but the whole thing that we are moving after our work. We're searching for something else. Yeah, maybe it be in television, maybe the concert, maybe anything which we are leaving our house for is a return on investment. So, and I think they really got that they have to invest there so that the society can go on. Yeah?
Absolutely.
So let us say that maybe this Corona crisis has a positive side, not only the negative, that for all the things who are cancelled, and for some people in some countries it's difficult to live now, but maybe that it's giving a new impulse worldwide even in the cultural world, not only for classical, as you say, it's really everything, the cinemas and so on. Even going in a cafe, it's a part of culture, you can say sometimes. But so you see kind of new hope or another way of life, or maybe each of three can say something, and that we can so finish the interview. Tell maybe, yeah.
Tijl, do you want to start?
No, you go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Well, I think that, I think that absolutely our world was at a very fast pace. And I think that this time out and this time of reflection, Elise was talking earlier about all the emotions and the listening to the music by yourself. And I think that this has been, hopefully, for many, a time of reflection. And hopefully the lessons that we've learned during this Corona period, we will take with us afterwards and see the world with new eyes, and hopefully be excited for, new ideas, new forms of culture, and that experience of being with each other again, and hopefully through the form of music as we're performing.
I think especially that because of this crisis, that the cultural world or people who are creating always benefit from a crisis, and I think we as a cultural creators, we will benefit from this as well, because this will get a new energy. Because as Eleonore said, we were living at a very high pace, producing at a very high pace, and maybe this step back, or this relaxing, or this slowing down from the time, is giving us the opportunity to really overthink of what we really want to do, and maybe go a little bit more to the deeper, or maybe to the essence of what we are doing, why we are making music, why we are singing, why we are drawing, why we are writing anything. And maybe that is probably one of the positive sides, because I think I've read once that during a period in the 17th century where the theaters were closed in London for 7 or 8 years because there was a disease as well, they reopened afterwards. So I think the urge of playing, of making something, creating something, is in our humans. It's in there. I don't fear that the things will not take place anymore. But I do think that we have the chance of going deeper and going to the essence of what we are doing. So that is a big chance.
I absolutely agree, of course, with the both of you, and of course it brings essence, and of course there is time for reflection. I do hope that all these wonderful concert halls, for example in London, that are not state funded, or that get very little money from the state, that they will survive. You know, it's true that times of crises are interesting and they force you to be creative, but I really hope that things will be better than they look like right now, because in England, for example, it looks really not great. Yeah.
So let's say there is still hope. There is always
and that's
hope.
the advantage of
after rain, there will be sunshine, like we say. I will thank you three for this very interesting changing of minds and ideas and hopes and so on. And I wish you all the best, of course. Thank you very much.
Same to you.
Thank you. Ciao. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.